Hi, I'm Jeff Farnwell, Director of the MBA program at Rockford College. About 18 months ago, the Rockford Chamber of Commerce set out to make networking easier in Rockford by identifying area people you should know in business. Currently, 41 people have been recognized and celebrated as one of these people. This series of talks held at Rockford College was designed to provide a vehicle for the public to hear from and learn about each of the people you should know. I hope you enjoy this talk.
Today I'm excited to introduce Mr. David Klintworth, partner at McGladrey Wealth Management and a 2011 People You Should Know Award recipient. At McGladrey Wealth Management, Mr. Klintworth is a financial advisor serving high wealth individuals, business owners, retirement plans, and charitable foundations. He has been involved in the development of several unique financial planning services for the firm. Mr. Klintworth serves on a number of different boards, including Treasurer for the ELCA Northern Illinois Synod and Director for the Rockford Symphony Orchestra. His talk today is titled Retirement Planning. How do I really deal with this? Please help me welcome Mr. David Klintworth.
Thank you all for being here today on a nice sunny day, the first time we've seen sun in several days. A special thanks to the college, soon to be the university, on July 1st, Rockford College, soon to be Rockford University, for being a sponsor for these talks, along with the Chamber of Commerce. It's been fun to be part of this and see the group actually get back to the community. And to you, Lauren Kepler, also, you've been here and moderating all these sessions, I believe, dealing with diverse personalities and different topics and things like that. So thanks to you also for being the host here and taking care of this for all of us. So I got an email from Lauren back in January of this year about a topic, and would you be willing to volunteer to make this a deal today? I said, I'd do it. So we kind of went back and forth, and we talked about, what do I talk about? So we came into retirement planning. How do we deal with some certain aspects of retirement planning? And it made sense back in January, Lauren, but when I went into preparation mode, I realized I had a monster of a topic here to cover in about 25 minutes. So we'll do our best today to give you some high spots about how we see retirement planning, how it's maybe different today than it was some years ago. So as any good person would do, you want to get research, you want to get some validation for your topic, so you go to the source of all knowledge, Google, right? So I did a Google search for retirement planning, and I have, if you can read that, there are 156 million sources of information. I said, I'm in trouble. It's too much. But the top three sources are here on the board, and it resonated to me as to how to make the speech structured today by reading these three top hits here. The first one is from Fidelity. We all know Fidelity Investments, but take a look at the subtitles there. One of it says, open a non-fee IRA. One says, get free trades. One says, move your IRA. I'm looking for the retirement planning advice here. I'm not quite seeing it yet. So, it might be in that calculator somewhere underneath the website, but the first blush is basically investment products. The second one is from Mass Mutual, another well-known company, a good company, worried about retirement. Now we have the anxiety factor in this situation all of a sudden to deal with. And finally, Ameriprise, another great company, well-known, take the first step to a confident retirement. So what occurred to me in doing the speech was basically, let's look at two aspects of retirement planning. The traditional one, the one that the financial community likes to dwell on, and the one that people typically deal with, is more of a financial-driven aspect. Quantifying things, and events. When do you retire? How long do you need to draw from your portfolio? How much money do you need? Looking for a number. But there's more than that now in terms of other considerations. There's many, many fine considerations above and beyond the numbers. Personal aspects, family ambitions, encore careers, and things like that. So I'm going to cover both aspects today and try to bridge them periodically to bring it all together. Again, a high-level speech today. I won't have a lot of solutions. I'll have some stories here and there, and hopefully we'll have some Q&A afterward to talk more about this. So A question you might ask is, yes, you need to have financial considerations to have a retirement plan. You need some kind of base of information to know, what money do I have available to retire or do something different than I'm doing today. So common concerns are things like, are you saving money? Are you saving enough money today to retire later on? Okay, that's a question that requires more than just basically a time event. And if you have a financial calculator, it would ask you these kind of inputs eventually. We'll get to that here in the next slide, but these are kind of a forebearing to the computation of a quantitative plan. Another concern would be having your money protected from volatility. As we get older, all of a sudden we have this anxiety factor. How do I invest my money? And this is where the investment community will gladly help you to save money and help you grow your nest egg. Well, and why is that? Because that's how they make money. So a lot of these advertisements, a lot of the retirement planning has an innuendo behind it, under it, is to, capture assets by the financial community. That's not a bad thing, and people need to save, but again, we have to get beyond the numbers sometimes, many times, all times, for that matter, to get a real good retirement plan. More factors, more concerns are inflation. Obviously, your money will be worth less as we have inflation. You'll erode your buying power. Medical costs are important. As we age, we typically have more need for medical care. Yes, we have Social Security, but we have donut holes in our drug reimbursements and co-pays and things like that. So there is a concern about our health. And also we have the latest raise is basically sovereign debt, government debt, the threat of insolvency by the governments, the ability to pay Social Security, maybe reducing that benefit, reducing pensions. Look at Illinois, the problem they have. Look at the people like you, Jeff, who want to get a pension eventually. Who knows? But these are concerns about retirement, valid concerns. But back to the financial aspects of this, here are 7 typical questions that you ask, or a calculator or an advisor will ask you to contemplate to get this number. So a question like, when will you retire? Okay, that's being asked because you need to have a period of draw. So if it's 20 years from now, when you retire, then you begin to have a period of potential draws. So that gets you one factor to get that number. How much will you spend in retirement? Again, a number. We haven't thought about some of the qualitative aspects of that, but you need to have a number to do the calculation. Inflation, what will it be? A range could be between X and Y, 1%, 4%, 5%. It all depends on the decade sometimes. How much will your money earn in retirement? Again, you need to calculate that, but it can be high or low. We can have strong markets, we can have weak markets, we can start at the wrong time, start at the right time. It all depends on market cycles. An important question also is how much money is saved. That's your beginning nest egg, a way to then quantify how much needs to be added to that nest egg to be able to have a retirement plan. And again, Social Security. And the one I like a lot is, how long will you live? Okay, if you can get an answer for me in that one, then please give me a call. So that's typically like a range. But the problem is, if you want to call it a problem, is that in this day and age, with better awareness on health, more consciousness on taking care of ourselves, more connections through other media sources, and medical science, we will live longer. So the challenge is, as the longer that time period becomes, then we have more stress on what retirement could mean for us. Again, these are all financial aspects of planning. The part which I think is more important to think about, that needs to be adjunct to this, is the subjective, the personal aspects of retirement plan. When I do a retirement plan where I am employed, it's not about numbers only. We can do that in a heartbeat, basically. Put numbers down on a piece of paper and do all kinds of calculations for people. But the biggest frustration people have is, in many cases, what does this mean to me? What can I do? And to give them a bunch of numbers and a perspective is okay from some aspects. But the bigger question is, if you're responsible for a client's well-being, financial well-being, you need to be conscious of their personal well-being also. So the old school thinking is basically, we have a lifetime career or lifetime jobs, call it a career. We get to a period of freedom. We start working at 25 years old, 20 years old, whatever, retire at 62, 65, whatever. Then we have all this free time to do whatever we want to do. The question is, what do you want to do? And can you do it? So a more modern thinking is capitalize on career and life experiences. It's what you do today. For people like your age, Lauren, you're still in the master's program. What you do today will impact your retirement. And we'll cover that here shortly in more detail. It's more about, I think, experiences, direction, dreams, contribution to society, meaningful life, more than ever before because of all the things I talked about, medical science, better health, awareness, and things like that. So now it becomes more of a life planning event, not a retirement event. So what are some of the things that you can think about as far as other subjective personal things? There we go. How's that for technology? So a big question is, what do I want to do in the next life transition? I did some reading here for the preparation for the presentation today about people who want encore careers. It's a fascinating discussion, and I have a book here I wanted to just cite for you if you want to write this down. It's not on my slide here. It's the author is Marcy Alboher, A-L-B-O-H-E-R. The book is The Encore Career Handbook. The publisher is Workman. I scanned it a little bit before the speech today. Really good thoughts about, how do you transition to this encore career? So many people have it's more of a fear than anything else. What do I do? I've worked in a career of some sort or a variety of jobs. I'm 60 or 65 years old, and now I have to do something different. I'm at the end of this period where I want to do something at that level. What else can I do with my life? That's an important question to do any kind of a retirement plan to have any quality of life. And it takes a lot of time to get at that. The financial parts will be connected with that, obviously, but they have to have that in play to know where you're going, basically. Another part would be, why do I want to do this? And ask yourself, why would I want to be a volunteer for the United Way? What can I do to contribute to the United Way or to a church or whatever? So it's important to have that defined so it can be dealt with, it can be evaluated, and then you can build on that because many times, which I'll talk about here shortly, it's not a one-man show. It basically involves yourself, maybe your spouse, maybe your family. And I'm a big proponent for how do you prepare for retirement. And it's not about just saving money. I can do calculations all day long for clients about saving money, $10,000 a year, $15,000 a year, whatever. But it's more a case of how do I prepare mentally, emotionally, technology-wise, technically, whatever, because we're moving at such a fast pace right now in our society and with technology. You have to stay connected. You have to be a learner. You have to be a reader. You have to be someone who's going to aspire for being on top of the game here because other than that, then you'll be left behind here, and the role you might have in retirement may not be the role you want. You may want to do better things or more things with your life, and because you haven't kept pace then, you can't do it. It's a whole study on that. It's a big, rigorous process to get that out, basically, and a commitment to lifetime learning to make it happen. As I mentioned before, a big part of this, from a quality of life standpoint, is family. It's not, as I mentioned before, it's not a one-man show here. I've got clients who I talk to or people I know who one spouse can't give it up. The career just can't give it up for whatever reason. They're wired into a social network at work, they love their jobs, and the other spouse is done. And in some cases, one lives in Rockford, one's in Tennessee. One's in Rockford, one's in Florida. That could be okay, but I don't think it was planned for necessarily to have that happen. So being on the same page with your spouse and your family is really critical to have a meaningful retirement or a transition to a different career or lifestyle. An important thing here is then linking together what you want to do in life and what you can do financially. So there's going to be some financial boundaries and some roadblocks there as far as things you want to do, which would guide you as to, can I pull it off, basically? This is where a advisor who can bring in the aspects of personalities, personal, subjective, the financial can be very, very effective for a person or family. At our firm, we do a lot of the so-called scenario planning, where it's an interactive session where we have a basis of financial information based upon money they already have, what they're saving, whatever. And then we talk about, what do you want to do? Talk about your ambitions. And if there's a man and a woman in there, I get on the same page. And we eventually go through a set of scenarios as to, I like to do A, B, C, and D, whatever that might be. We back test that against the financial aspects of it. Can you pull it off or not? If not, then why not? What are the barriers? What can keep you from doing that? What can you do to modify your plans to still get fulfillment and have a good life? Some case studies would be important right here. For example, I've had a client who came in who said, I'm working and working. My job is okay. I'm at the end here. I just can't retire. I can't afford it. I'd love to do A, B, and C, but I just don't think we can pull it off here because we haven't got enough money to make it happen. I have to live off my income. We have low interest rates right now, thanks to our friends at the Fed, and I just can't do this. And you sit down, and all of a sudden he finds out that I can retire from that job, and I can go from point A to point B. The case study would be a doctor that I work with. Tired of the job, tired of surgery, 62 years old, brilliant person, but didn't want to stop. He loved to teach. In his mind, though, he couldn't do it. So it came down to, I need probably 3 or 4 more years of this to make it happen, to get to that certain number. He probably went to one of the websites there and did a calculation, said, here's my number, and I'm not there yet. I got to work longer. And spouses over there, they're like, I wish he wouldn't be working anymore. I want to share some time with him because, a surgeon, they work hard. They have a very critical job. They're on call. They're not around a lot. So this is a case where the spouse is like, I've invested with you many, many years with families and things like this. This is our time to spend time together. And you can sense that passion on her part to get him to do something. We did a scenario planning, 4 or 5 iterations. All of a sudden, I can retire, and I can teach. And he did. And that was important. So it was beyond the numbers, basically. Other cases are, I can't afford my second home anymore because something happened to my finances. The market went down. I need to make some kind of changes to my situation because I can't afford that anymore. With a refinance of a mortgage, some tweaking of some numbers all of a sudden, you can do it. So again, linking financial numbers and aspects to what you want to do is so critical in retirement planning. Risk and roadblocks could be a variety of things. It could be your health. Maybe you have a impaired health, where if you can't, if you're not onto a health plan with an employer, it might be very, very expensive to not be employed, or you can't get insurance, or whatever the case might be. It might be not enough money. It might be not on the same page, but there's barriers that need to be identified in this process here and resolved to get to the right plan. Time doesn't permit me to do more than I did about that right now, but we'll go on to the next one then. So as I mentioned before, having a qualified planner or a coach or a counselor is critical for this process. It really helps to get some outside perspective, to mediate, to moderate, and to guide through the process. They're out there. Everybody has a take on this. My point is that it's not just a numerical thing, and to be enticed by a savings plan, a investment strategy is not enough to be successful in retirement. It would be investing our assets. How do I invest the assets? When do I invest the assets? Who do I work with to invest the assets? How's my portfolio structure? Is it diversified? Those are critical points to think about because that's your nest egg, and you have to make sure it's done, as well as possible. And in that regard, then, consistency, Sticking to your menu makes a lot of sense. The market will be volatile. And in market volatility, it's easy to fall victim to fear and make changes to a portfolio in reaction to market events. That hardly ever works out. It's a knee-jerk reaction. So again, your portfolio is important to you. It'll help you get to a certain place at some time. So it's very important to get good, quality, clear help on your investment portfolio. So to pay back to Lauren for enticing me to do this presentation today, I tried to think about a couple of things that young people should do or think about today to help them in retirement. So here are some ideas for people who are of this age. I mean, just arbitrarily 25 through age 40. I just made it up, basically. It could be 18 to 35. So it's just an example today. So my first thing is invest in yourself. Do it today. I mean, how you invest today will pay dividends later on. It's, don't invest just dollars in a portfolio and get dividends and growth that way. Do it for yourself and your family also. That's a very broad recommendation, but think about that and do it now. Build a network. That's so critical in lifetime for opportunity and for a transition in life. In many cases, the network might be for a person, their work environment, their clients or their customers. And that's all they've done. They have a network established of those people. When they leave that job then, the network is substantially reduced. And it's different. And it works different. And you don't connect like you did before when you're working with them. And that can be a very abrupt change for people and a fearful thing for people. So a network outside of the college, outside of work is very critical on a lifetime basis. It's amazing how contacts can help you through many things. Family problems, health problems, whatever problems, and also opportunity to find situations or opportunities to do something later on. So critical to get that network. As I mentioned before, build your skills, keep learning, don't stop. Read, study, come into college, take some courses, get in study groups. It's so important because it's moving so fast nowadays, technology. If you don't do it then, you're going to be left behind and maybe not get the fulfillment you can get later on at some point during your life. I think volunteering also is an important thing. It trains you to do something outside of work. It's amazing the number of people who can retire, quote unquote retire, and go to an encore career. There's people who are very gifted entrepreneurs, CEOs, marketing people, healthcare pros, doctors, nurses, whatever, who because they had a solid retirement plan can go into an encore career with a charitable organization. Maybe get paid a third of what they got paid before. But there's fulfillment there. And think of all the years of learning, experiences, whatever, that can be brought to the table for an organization that hasn't had that kind of resource. As you know, charitable organizations haven't got big budgets, and it's getting harder all the time to run a charity or a college or whatever. So going in there to do something to stay busy and to contribute makes a lot of sense for yourself and also for the organization. It's a great thing. I mentioned that book before, but Encore Careers, there's websites on there, there's contacts, there's actually agencies that are in different areas where they can connect people with organizations, and it's great. It's a process. It's a temporary stint typically. Many times the people love what they're doing, they stay on board there, make $10 an hour or whatever, and they're loving it. Good for the charity, good for them. So again, volunteering today gets you in that mindset to give back to the community, because you might be doing that in retirement, so to speak. Actually, tip one, take care of your health, I'm sorry. Take care of your health. That is so critical. I can't tell you the number of people who have done great careers, worked hard, knocked themselves silly basically, who now want to retire and they're not in great health. And it breaks my heart to see that. It really does. Their mind is working at a high level, and they can't sustain that pace. They can't do what they want to do. I mean, sometimes it happens, without our control, obviously. Diseases can help happen. But, take care of your health today, young people, now. Because later on then, you'll have the stamina and the ability to maintain a pace here into your 60s, 70s, 80s. Who knows by the time you're that age, Lauren? I mean, it might be 100 years old with medical science, so it's very important to take care of your health. I thought about this one, be a stakeholder in things other than yourself. In other words, buy into something else beside yourself. An organization, in volunteering, but invest in something, whatever it might be, get in that habit now to build that experience, to leverage off of that later on in life. And of course, back to the financial aspects here, start saving money. Even a little bit here and there. If you have a company-sponsored 401k or 403b, take advantage of that. And a little bit of pain here and there goes a long way. A whole presentation would have been the power of compounding. Half an hour right there. But it really works there. It's amazing the numbers as they compound year on year on year. I can't give you exact numbers here, but someone 25 years old who puts away, let's say, $5,000 a year in savings, I'm making a number up, to get the same point at age 60, if you start at, let's say, 40 years old, it's a lot bigger number to get there. And at that time of life, then, you have children, you have college, you have a lot going on, basically, maybe divorces, who knows. But it's better to start earlier to build a nest egg and take advantage of investing, growth, and compounding, basically. And again, get a solid strategy for your investments, and just don't get a bundle of products, basically. Don't succumb to an ad. Don't succumb to a pitch on something. Bring it all together, your investment together, to build as a defined strategy, a structured portfolio. Don't take a piece here, a piece there, a piece there, and think you'll do better that way. It doesn't work. So, for the young people in the room today, you'll likely live longer than any previous generation. It's almost a guarantee. I can't think how it couldn't be the case. So, plan for a meaningful life is my message to the young people today. Watching my time, I'm going to shift now to the next age group, and we'll stop right there then. So, age 40 to 60, again, arbitrary ages, so still time to retire, but all the same recommendations for the young people, all the same recommendations. They all apply. Every one. On top of that, though, it's now time to create things like bucket lists. In case studies and experiences, what you learn about people and their ambitions are, in retirement, one of the things that breaks my heart is that if you wait too long and don't do things, then it never happens. Trips, events, cruises, whatever it might be, you don't take the time. We have no guarantee on our lifespan here. Back to my point about, how long we can live, we don't know that. So in many cases, I encourage people to create a bucket list or take time to do something you're not doing today. It's so important to break away sometimes to do that. If it's volunteering, if it's public speaking, whatever it might be, give thought to that, because there's no guarantee you'll be here tomorrow, a decade from now, or whenever, or have the health to do things like that. So take time for hobbies, activities, or start them. Again, sometimes the problem is that all I've known in my life is work, career, whatever. Now I can't do it anymore. What do I do with my life? Do I start a hobby then? Yeah, you could. But it's better to have a hobby established with some connections, some socialization, and build on that. So don't wait to the end to think about an afterlife, so to speak, in terms of your career, whatever it might be. And then take a lot of time to contemplate what's a successful retirement. What does that mean, really? Give it thought, and give it a lot of thought. I read a quote that said something like, people spend more time thinking of their next vacation than their retirement plan. And I think it's true. All of a sudden it's there, and you haven't done things or planned for this at younger ages here, and you're not ready for the networking, the financial aspects, whatever. It's not too late, but the dreams are potentially impaired that way. So I'll leave it at that. Again, it's a high-level presentation today, give you some thoughts, and then the major takeaway would be, yes, financial considerations are critical for planning for retirement, but more important is, what is retirement? Is it an abrupt end, encore career, whatever, and what can you do to build around that from a soft standpoint, personal standpoint? So watch my time in the presentation. Let's stop right here and entertain questions or critique or complaints or whatever you want to throw at me today. Yeah. Jeff? Yeah.